That plane crash that killed 157 people in Ethiopia. It all happened just minutes after takeoff, and just moments ago, investigators found both of the crucial black boxes.
Here's what we know right now. Those 157 people on board were from 35 different countries, 8 of them Americans. The Ethiopian Airlines flight lost contact with air traffic control just 6 minutes after takeoff, crashing and killing everyone on board.
It was the same brand new plane, the same model that crashed in Indonesia in October. The NTSB and FAA are now assisting in the investigation.
And airlines around the world are grounding that Boeing jet, 100 in China alone. Our senior transportation correspondent David Curley starts us off with the latest. Good morning, David.
Good morning, George. Finding those black boxes a big breakthrough, but some countries and airlines are not waiting to find out what is on those boxes. They are grounding their fleets of these 737 MAXs as of this morning. They say there are too many questions that they want solved. This morning, the deadly mystery in Ethiopia, a scene littered with airline napkins and safety cards. This second crash of a new 737 leading to a grounding of jetliners around the world. China ordering that the country's fleet of nearly 100 MAX 8 jets not fly until more is known about why the 157 people died, including 8 Americans. The Ethiopian Airlines CEO visiting the site, his airline grounding its 4 other MAX 8s.
We are very, very saddened. Our heart is broken for this tragic accident.
Now the breakthrough, the black box is being recovered, which should provide key evidence for investigators trying to determine exactly what happened. The 8:30 a.m. flight to Nairobi was troubled from takeoff, according to data. The pilots apparently struggling with control issues, calling the tower, saying they were having difficulties and wanted to return to the airport.
But what would cause that? Maybe a fire? Maybe some sort of a problem with the airplane internally?
Just 6 minutes after takeoff, never getting much more than 1,000 feet off the ground, the data stops and the jet crashes. Immediately, there are questions about whether there's an issue with this new 737, in service for less than 2 years, more than 70 flying in the U.S., and now these 2 crashes. The first crash, a Lion Air MAX 8 going down in Indonesia, when the pilots failed to disengage the autopilot when bad data engaged a nose-down dive.
Lion Air was clearly a result of inadequately trained pilots and an airplane that should never have been dispatched. Here, we don't know what we've got for sure, but it does not appear to be something that would be directly related to pilot action.
Among those on board, Cedric Ejavugwa, a Georgetown University student on his way home to Nairobi, and humanitarian and aid workers, 19 from the United Nations alone. In a statement, Boeing says in part that safety is its #1 priority, adding that the investigation is in its early stages. When asked about the groundings, Boeing says it does not have any basis at this point to issue new guidance to airlines. There are 3 U.S. airlines, American, Southwest, and United, that are flying this 737 derivative. When asked about the groundings, Boeing said it is too early for it to issue any further guidance to the airlines. A lot to learn from those black boxes. Cecilia?
David, thank you. So let's bring in ABC News contributor, former Marine fighter pilot, and aviation expert, Colonel Steve Ganyard. Colonel Ganyard, good morning to you. We heard in David Pete's piece just now, just 6 minutes after takeoff, the data stops. What does that tell you about what might have happened here?
Cecilia, there are good reasons why the data may have stopped, but what we know up to about the 4-minute mark is that this airplane was out of control right after leaving the ground. And we see in the animation there that the airplane is actually porpoising, climbing, descending, never really getting very high off the ground. The crew is clearly distracted because the airspeed keeps increasing, so they never pulled the throttles back. We lose data about the 4-minute mark. Obviously, the airplane continued to climb a bit. And in the video we see this morning, you see that very deep scar, that impact angle that suggests that the airplane hit at a very steep angle and a high rate of speed.
So the similarities between what we're seeing right there on the screen in Ethiopia and between the Lion Airlines crash back in October are pretty remarkable. Is this just coincidence, or should there be now new safety concerns for this Boeing 737 MAX 8?
The Lion Air crash started when there was a problem with the autopilot. It ultimately should have been handled by the pilots, but it was not. So there's a question here, was there similar circumstances that led to a tragic ending? So this is the question the flying public has a right to ask. Are there similarities in this crash? Is there a problem with this airplane? I don't think there is, but it's good news this morning. We'll get the black boxes, we'll get them read quickly, and we'll find out whether this was an airplane problem or a problem with pilot control.
We are seeing this morning a number of international carriers grounding this specific plane. So far, American carriers are continuing to express confidence. Should these planes be grounded?
There's no evidence right now, Cecilia, to ground these airplanes. So again, getting to the black boxes, finding if there's something out about a problem with this airplane. But I think in talking to friends who are pilots at both American and United, U.S. carriers are not seeing any problems, any anomalies with this airplane. I think that ultimately the airplane will be cleared, but we do need to find out what caused this mishap, make sure that it never happens again.
All right, Steve Ganyard, thank you.